Welcome to the Daily Influence, where our mission is to deliver a daily dose of positive influence that can uplift you personally or be shared within your sphere of influence. While not every episode may directly apply to your unique circumstances, we strive to provide insights and inspiration relevant to most people's daily, weekly, and monthly lives. Whether you are tuning in during the morning, noon, or night, the Daily Influence is here for you. Listen, share, and embrace the power of influence in your life. Hey everybody, Brian Smith here with the I Am Team series and the Daily Influence. And today we are going to talk about inclusion. As you know, over the past few days, I have been tackling diversity, equity, equality. And you can't have those things without inclusion. Inclusion is something we struggle with because sometimes we don't want to include people. Sometimes it's for bias. Sometimes it's for bigotry. Sometimes it's for trust reasons. Sometimes it's because we don't have respect for them. We haven't built that respect. Sometimes it's just because we think we're better than everybody. Especially as leaders, we oftentimes get in our own heads and think we have the right answer. A lot of us might even delegate and then take away that opportunity of inclusion when we delegate by micromanaging and second guessing. We might be the ones who do as I say, not as I do. That's not inclusion. That's exclusion. That's defining yourself different than somebody else, which doesn't create equity or diversity. It's not equal. And you can argue with me, well, I'm the boss, I'm the owner, I can do what I want. But then you get what comes from that. You can't set rules and then break rules. It sets a bad example. Yes, there are exceptions, but inclusion is about identifying exceptions, understanding exceptions. In your organization, if you want to start with inclusion, the best way to start with inclusion is to start listening. When you delegate, listen. When you delegate, get feedback. When you set expectations, ask if the expectations are understood. When you do that, you begin to allow those people to be inclusive. They get to engage in the process. If you set expectations and don't listen to the feedback that comes from those expectations, you're very likely going to be disappointed. You're very likely going to shut down the path to inclusion because you're not going to include them if they fail. But if you don't set them up in advance to succeed or to understand the path to success from them and include them in that understanding and let them participate, you're setting yourself up for failure. Inclusion isn't about just letting anybody in to do whatever they want to do. Inclusion is about overall engagement. It's about being open to listening to people's ideas, people's pushback, people's struggles. It's including them so that when we make decisions and when we decide to do whatever it is we decide to do in our area of influence, we do it together. And that's what inclusion is about. It's togetherness. You can't have a company without inclusion. You have to include everybody, whoever they are. And should you define who they are by anything other than their ability to provide value to your organization, you're wrong. You should choose people in your organization based on their ability to add value, based on their ability to do what needs to be done, not based on skin color, religion, not based on sexual preference or what they define themselves as. Those things are just silly. And there are exclusions to these things, I am sure. But those of you that want to pull out the exceptions and hold them up high as to why you think inclusion and diversity aren't good, you're only self-justifying your poor thought process to being diverse, being inclusive. All of us can come up with a situation where we can lock things down and exclude people. We could do that. We could self-justify it. Most of the time, that self-justification is hogwash. Doesn't mean anything. To be inclusive is to look at what you have in your area of influence, look at what your mission is individually and as a team, find out who is the best person or group of people to get you there, and then including them with it, and then empowering them. Inclusion is about empowerment. When we empower people, we are including people. And when we empower people, we are creating a path of equity for them. We're also developing and creating a path of equality. And inherently, we have this diverse organization that is moving towards common goals, irregardless of any differences we might have. The one thing that we have inclusive together is our mission. And that's what's focused on. Nothing else comes into play when we do this. When we focus on what that means to be together, to be inclusive in that area of influence, then we succeed together in that area of influence. And that is how we create a diverse, equitable, equal, and inclusive environment, a DEI area of influence. And it doesn't matter if it's your family, if it's your friends, if it's your work. We can watch society struggle over this. And I challenge you, when you see that, define it for what it is, egos. Define it for what it is. It's a power struggle. It's not about what they want as an overall equity for our society. It's about what they want individually. And they want it oftentimes to the detriment of everybody else, and they don't care. And when you want something and you're going to take away from somebody else who's putting forth, that's not equality, that's not equity, that's not diversity, it's not inclusion. So I challenge you in your areas of influence to slow down, listen to learn, include everybody that's important in whatever it is you're trying to do, and guide them forward together, and watch as your culture builds and as your team builds and as your successes grow and the equity of your organization gets wider and deeper as all of these other pieces fall into place. Be inclusive. Hope you enjoy our show today. Please join us tomorrow for another Daily Influence. Have a good day.